We know very little about many of the ocean's ecology and many of the creatures that live in the ocean. Even though we've known about sharks, of course, for forever, because people have talked about sharks for generations. But we know very little about their lifestyles. We know very little about where they go in the oceans, what they eat, really, where they mate, where the young ones start to develop. We're finding out some more these days. As a matter of fact, because documentary films are being made, scientists are going with the filmmakers and learning more.
Mauricio, who was the marine scientist who was there, actually gave lectures about shark. Yeah, they're fascinating animals, and there's so much that we don't know yet, and there's still to discover. And that's, part of, some of the goals of movies like that is to bring some awareness that there are individuals out there that are really working hard and trying to make a difference, and sometimes with very little means.
The public interest in sharks is leading to more of this scientific endeavor. Now we know that sharks travel long distances across the ocean because they're putting tracking devices on sharks, and we can track them, using instrumentation to find out where they go. In the film, they use these long instruments that look a little bit like spear guns to click a tag to the flesh of the shark. It's a small little tag that's attached to them. The shark is startled for a moment. It tends to go away, apparently, and come back very shortly thereafter, forgetting the incident, I gather. It doesn't cause very much a disruption to the shark. It's not particularly painful. It's something which is done by scientists in order to put a tag on that can be tracked electronically, so they can find where the sharks are going over long distances, over long periods of time. An instrument that a diver would carry would not be recognized by a shark particularly, would not be seen as a dangerous object if the diver is not acting aggressively. If the diver is acting in a very calm fashion, the shark is not seeing that as an attack. You might feel a little pinch, but that little pinch is not necessarily recognized by a shark as an attack. I think it's done gently. And it's interesting to note that the sharks don't turn around and try to attack when they're tagged. They scoot away, feeling surprised, and then, according to the divers who are reporting on this, who are doing the tagging, they tend to come back. The same sharks will come back a few minutes later and still hang around with curiosity to see what the divers are doing. We see them as something that looks like a gun. The shark has no knowledge of that kind of aggressive instrument. And bear in mind as well, they're going to look at sharks that have not been near people at all. They were trying in this film to find sharks in remote areas, such as those sharks around New Zealand, that have probably never come in contact with humans. So there is not any type of awareness. I'm sure that in this case it has to do with the divers' attitudes and the fact that they are not acting aggressively. Tagging a shark will allow you to follow that particular shark. If you tag enough sharks, you get a sense maybe of what might be a loose grouping or colony of sharks. The migration of sharks is tracked. That's very important to know. Different times of the year, sharks will be in different places. There are places where sharks would be mating. There are places where sharks are going to give birth, and you'll find there's a lot of young sharks. In the movie, they talk about a lot of young sharks being found off the coast of California. It appears to be an area where baby sharks can be found in large numbers. The tagging experiments and the observations of things like the observation of younger sharks will give an indication as to the times of migration, the times of the year. That has to do with available foods and available changes in temperature in the ocean, things of that nature. And times when the sharks come together, and times when the sharks tend to be more separated from one another.